Hey everybody in the reggae universe, welcome to A Conversation in Dub, hosted by me, Mark Ramondi.
And me, James Pasqua. This podcast is all about exploring the massive world of reggae and dub music, from its roots in Jamaica to its influence on various music genres worldwide.
This podcast also explores the intricacies of dub through insightful conversations, interviews with artists, and in-depth analysis of iconic tracks. We don't just talk about the music, but also the stories behind it, the techniques used in its production, and the social and political context that shaped its development.
Our goal is to promote mindful listening, taking you, the listener, on the journey the artist intended. Through this process, we hope to introduce you to new music or give you a new insight on music you already know and love.
This podcast is brought to you by Rootfire, a platform for reggae music worldwide with a mission to empower artists and nurture the community that supports them. You're here because you love reggae music and want to be a part of that community. We're here to help connect the dots.
If you have any feedback for us, be sure to email us at aconversationindub@gmail.com or message us on Facebook or Instagram at aconversationindub. We love hearing from you. Now,
let's get to the show.
Welcome to A Conversation in Dub. I'm James Pasqua, and I am joined by Dave Schiffman, filling in for Mark today. How's it going, Dave?
It's going well. Thanks. How about yourself?
Going pretty good. Just for everyone to be aware, Mark is currently dealing with some personal family matters, in addition to getting ready for his wedding in a month and a very busy time at work. So, in light of all of that, I'm just trying to keep the lights on over here, and I'll have some awesome guests filling in for Mark, like Dave here, until he gets that stuff situated. You might see him in and out, but you might see a lot of fun special guest hosts filling in for Mark. So, with that said, we're going to be listening to some brand new music, but in a very classic style. Dave, you sent this over... What was it, yesterday? Today?
Well, last night.
Yeah, last night. We were bouncing off some ideas, and right away that one was like, yeah, let's do that one. We are, of course, talking about Keith and Tex from their brand new album, Gun Life, and we'll be featuring the title song, Gun Life, just came out 1 month ago, produced by Roberto Sanchez, known for his work in Lone Ark, one of my favorites out there right now. You want to just get right into the song?
Of course. Let's jump in.
All right. You can find this song on all major streaming platforms and YouTube. It is called Gun Life by Keith and Tex. We'll be right back. That was Gun Life, Keith and Tex. That's a cool song. That's a cool album. I listened to the whole thing today, and I was instantly hooked.
That song is ferocious. The whole album is great, as you said, but that song to me is the one that stands out the most, which is why I sent it to you as a podcast consideration. That one really hit me hard, and I was stoked to see what you thought of it.
I really, really like it. So Keith and Tex, you may be familiar with their classic song, Stop That Train. That was like their hit song. But it's really cool to hear them doing that style now. Like a lot of bands now are doing that style, but
Yeah.
you know, they're new bands. They're like, you know, our age and stuff. But to hear these guys doing that style now is like peak.
Yeah, it's so cool. I was thinking the same thing. Like, you know, it's kind of Agrolites is a band that comes to mind who've
sure.
been doing it for years. But, you know, they're emulating the style from the, like late 60s, early 70s. I guess probably the late 60s. But they're, Keith and Tex, they're the originals. They're the pioneers. And they're just bringing that sound forward, you know?
Yeah, and who better to team up with than Roberto Sanchez and Lone Ark? I mean, they get like the best sounds of modern reggae, in my opinion.
They being
Roberto Sanchez.
Yeah.
His productions.
His production. Oh, okay. His production team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like the
I mean,
Lone Ark albums for me, all day. I could play them all day long, repeat. They sound amazing. The vibe is there. So to have him doing stuff for these types of artists is amazing.
Yeah, most of the Lone Arc records that I've listened to are of his own,
Yeah,
and they're predominantly roots reggae style.
yeah.
So it's interesting to hear him apply his studio talents to more of a rock steady early reggae kind of track.
I was thinking the same thing, but it works. It works for me for sure.
Sounds fantastic. I love how right out of the gate, the track just hits you with all the elements that I love. Like you've got the organ, of course, front and center. Um, and then the horns come in strong, and it's like this militant
Mhm.
anthem kind of vibe to the horn line.
What I like about the horns in this whole album, they're accompanied with flute, which just adds a whole nother layer, and you can hear it sometimes really stick out of the brass. Oh man, I love that. It just adds this like warmth that other brass sections don't have.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's certainly not a instrument that you hear, you know, commonly in horn arrangements, but um, I think like there's been flute in other Lone Arc productions. So
I think so.
yeah, I think that may be something, he knows a player
And I
or he
feel
just
like
loves the sound.
I feel like old like Tommy McCook stuff would have flute on it as well sometimes, and it
Hmm.
would really stick out. Like in compilation albums, I'd hear it, and then all of a sudden there'd be some flute playing over this rootsy reggae song, and I love that. I don't know why the clash works for me.
Yeah, no, I flute definitely adds an interesting element to music. It's yeah, it's kind of underused, I feel like. But that's what's special about it, right? When there's a new sound that's not as commonly used, you're always like, oh, it has more of an impact.
For sure. That's probably why the melodica worked at the time, right?
Yeah. Um, I have to say, like this track, you know, in addition to the stellar groove, I love, and this is not unique to this track, of course, but to Keith and Tech's music in general. I find it really moving hearing the two gentlemen sing together
Totally.
in harmony. And that is just a sound like strength in numbers. I don't know. There's something about it. There was a band I used to listen to in the in the third wave ska days out of Berkeley, California, called the Dance Hall Crashers. You may be familiar. And they had two female singers that would sing in harmony with each other.
Mm.
And again, same sort of thing. It just pumped me up. I don't know what it is. I love hearing two voices together throughout the course of the song.
When they're good, it's so good. But when they're bad, oh man. But yeah, you're right. Just like, they're staying true to that, I don't know, late 60s era of Jamaican music where they'd have the vocal groups doing rocksteady reggae stuff, and the vocal groups would just all be singing in harmony for most of it. I love that too. And man, they still got it. I don't know what it is, but they got it.
Oh, they certainly do. I don't know too much about them personally. I really don't. And I only sort of discovered them for my own listening pleasure with, believe it or not, like their last album
Hmm.
that called Freedom. That actually wasn't their last album. It was two prior albums, I believe. It was, I believe, from 2022 or 2023. Called, it was Freedom. Anyway, I somehow came across it, and I was like, totally, this is amazing. And then, of course, I had to dive in and be like, Keith and Tex. You know, I've been listening to reggae, as you know, for what now, 40 years now, and I don't ever, feel like I know it all. There's so much I don't know,
Yeah.
and it's nice to keep learning, and discovering new artists. I'm always amazed, like when I like stumble across another foundational, artist or reggae pioneer, and I'm like, how did I not come across this artist previously?
That's why I loved listening to the Reggae Podclash with Roger and Devin, because they would pull out these songs that I would have never heard of. and
It,
they just have it, they play it, they know everything about it, who played on it, and I'm like, I've never even heard of any of these singers.
their knowledge is so deep. That was a lot of fun. I hope they bring it back at some point.
I hope so too.
Our colleague at Rootfire, Jim the Boss, is like that. He is
Hmm.
literally a walking encyclopedia of reggae history. It's incredible. We just published. I don't know if you've read it, but we just published an article he wrote. It's part of his Unsung Heroes series of articles, and in this one, it's called uh, "This Is Another Version," and basically he's recounting the earliest days of dub music and paying homage to some of the people that don't really get credit for, kind of creating the genre. I mean, obviously, King Tubby and Lee Scratch Perry, they're always like at the forefront,
Hmm.
right? But he's done research. He dives deep. It's not like a super long article, but he's done his research and he dives in. Did you check it out by any chance?
I didn't get a chance to check it out yet, but I'm definitely going to. It's obviously right up my alley.
I know. When I was working on the article with him as the editor, I was like, oh, James is gonna love this.
I haven't gotten to it yet. I will though. Big huge plug to Jim the Boss though. I mean, you're right. He's like a walking encyclopedia. We've had him on here as well talking about his newest project, and yeah, I reach out to him sometimes with questions or just thoughts, and he'll just rifle off what he thinks about stuff. So yeah, big up to him, and check out his article. What's it called again?
Called Unsung Heroes: This Is Another Version. It's on the, if you just go to rootfire.net, it'll be on the main front page of the website because we just published it last week.
Nice, along with thousands of other articles to go check out if you haven't already.
That's right. Hey, I just want to mention regarding this tune that we're discussing today, Gun Life.
Mm.
You know, there's some really, really cool lyrics in this song, and the line that stuck out to me is, "In the hands of the righteous, justice might prevail."
Mm.
And that's awesome. And then they go into from there. They go, in the hands of the wicked. I think they basically say like many lives could be lost or something. I'm quoting, not quoting it exactly, but that's the gist of it. Um, and then they have that little bridge or whatever where they're like, Guan, go put down your gun, make we have some fun, like
Yeah,
lighten up, maybe trying to talk to the gunmen and say, hey, you know, why do we have to have all this violence?
that's
But
fair.
it's just riddled throughout Jamaican history, unfortunately.
It really is. And unfortunately, not just Jamaica. We have gun violence everywhere. Jamaica is just hit hard, of course. Uh, and it's important that you call out the lyrics because Mark and I say all the time, lyrics is not what comes first for us. But I know a lot of people who listen to this podcast are like, "Oh, you didn't talk about what the song was about." I'm like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't even hear. I was listening to the one little guitar line in the whole song. I didn't get to the lyrics yet."
I know it's funny that you guys, yeah, because you're both musicians and and Mark's a music teacher, and you know, you guys know the science of music and can really break down a song, whereas I am not trained like that. I'm not a musician, and I was never, taught music, so to speak. So I just kind of come from the gut, and what so I'm not able to like analyze the song like, oh, that's a minor key and blah blah blah. um but the lyrics are front and center for me all times, which is why sometimes I have a little trouble writing about instrumental music.
That's fair. Yeah.
There's only so many things you can say about how a sound makes you feel.
Right. Unless you're speaking to the person who made it, because they could probably tell you what came to mind when they were making it. But if you're just listening to it, yeah, it's a really cool song. I don't know what to say about it other than nah, it sounded cool. It's not
Yeah,
much
well, that's
changes and
that's the
things.
beauty
And
of talking to the artists and getting the behind the scene. I love to say the phrase
there you
pull
go.
back the curtain, and learn about the techniques used, the inspiration, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and going back to this song, about the song itself, there's really not a lot going on. there's not really any changes throughout the song. There's just little lead parts that come in and out, and then their vocal line is just front and center the whole time because it's like, this is Keith and Tex. The backing band is just doing their job as they would have done in 1968, you know, and let's only focus on the vocals here and add the elements that help that. So I don't know. The production here is just like so true to classic Jamaican music, and so much respect for it.
It's got such a great groove to it, this song. And not to, go too deep into the lyrics, but once again, one other thing I noted that struck me was, towards the end of the song, they actually, start naming people who have, presumably succumbed to gun violence. And you know they end it with like, all your best friends dead, and it's like, it just reminded me. I'm also listening to the Rootsland podcast with
Ah,
Henry Kay, and the current season is discussing the Peter Tosh murder,
mm-hmm.
and it's just so sad. In no I know gun violence is everywhere. It truly is. We obviously know that. I mean, we don't have to look much further than the United States, right?
No, we don't.
But certainly throughout the course of Jamaican history, and there's a lot of reasons for it, but it's just been rough. It's been rough. And you think about so many performers that have um you know died that way, and not just performers, just everybody gets caught in the crossfire and so forth. But that's what happens when you have an up and coming nation, a poor nation that's you've got different political factions battling for power and so forth. We don't need to go into all that, but anyway, I haven't been to Jamaica now in about, I don't know, 10 years. Have you been there recently?
Mm, years ago, not 10 years, but not in recent years.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm wondering, like, it's obviously, like, it's one of my favorite places on earth. But at the same time, like, you go to Jamaica and you're walking down the street at night, it's it's not, you know, it's you, it's not necessarily always like, you have to keep your wits about you. You have to keep your wits about you. And it's not like that necessarily all over the place. I mean, there's some places where you can go and you're just not gonna have to worry about a thing. Jamaica's not that place, but you go there for other reasons, right? You go there for the music, you go there for the food, you go there for the people. Um, oh yeah, and they have some nice beaches too, don't they?
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, they definitely do. But same could be said for any major city. I'm in Las Vegas. There's parts of Las Vegas I wouldn't be caught walking down after sunset. Is not great.
Definitely, of course, yeah. Any major city, that's for sure.
That's the gun life for you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, props to Keith and Tex, man. They
Mm.
really, really just put out some impressive music. This track at the top of it, whole album is phenomenal. And if anyone dug this track and is going to be listening to this album, I also recommend you start going backwards down the number line, to quote a Fish song, and go, back into their catalog, and not even far back. They just go back to that album Freedom. That's a really, really good album too.
Yeah. For pioneers of rocksteady reggae music, they have a lot of albums that came out in the past decade or so. It's impressive. So I hope they keep doing it. You know,
Me too.
I
Me
hope.
too.
I hope they tour. I hope we get to see them.
Oh, you just
And
took the words out of my mouth. I was thinking, wow, it'd be so cool to see them, on stage, and either at a festival, or if they could do select dates in the States. Living here near New York City, I get pretty lucky because everybody comes to New York.
that's true.
You know that you're from here. What's it like out in Vegas though? Do you get it? You probably get a lot of touring acts through there now.
No, we do not. Usually skips Vegas. Usually it's
Wow.
like Phoenix, California, obviously. Um, yeah, it usually just skips right over. But
I'm
we
so
do
surprised
get
to hear
some.
that because it's
We
a
do get
huge
some.
metropolitan area.
It is. I think it's just it might be hard for bands to come out here, stay here, deal with the city. I don't know. I don't know what it is really. Maybe there's not a lot of people coming out to shows, depending on the artists. These types of reggae acts, you're not going to get a lot of people out, unfortunately.
Yeah, very niche audience at this point.
We do have the punk rock bowling, which brings out some of the ska music, like the Agrolites play that every year, and the Toasters and bands like that. But we get what we get.
Well, that would be a perfect fit for Keith and Tex.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I don't know if they're playing the Supernova Fest. I didn't look it up. Keith and Tex.
I didn't either. I want to get to that festival if I can.
That would be a good fit.
It typically falls in a pretty bad time for me work-wise, but I'd love to get to it one of these years.
That's a good one. Everyone out there, Supernova Festival, was it in Virginia? I have never been, but they get some pretty amazing lineups. So if you're in that area or if you want to travel for Supernova Ska Fest, check that out if you're not familiar. Always good to see those types of festivals out there.
Yeah, that's definitely a big one, and really, well attended, and I could look at the pictures with envy and the videos and stuff like that. I'm like, man, I really wish I was there. So hopefully one of these years I'll be able to get down there.
Maybe next one, Loving Paupers play. You'll head down there.
I think they've already played it.
They did. Yeah. They played 2 years ago, I think. I thought about going. Couldn't make it. It's far.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, Keith and Tex keep making music, and everyone out there, if you're not familiar with their music, like we said, go down the line. There's a lot of new stuff. There's a lot of old stuff. They are pioneers of Jamaican music. So thanks for listening. And Dave, thanks for filling in for Mark. It's big shoes. So
yeah, it's an honor and a privilege. So thanks for having me.
Of course. And until next time, keep dubbing. Thanks for listening to A Conversation in Dub, hosted by James Pasqua and Mark Raimondi. Conversation in Dub is brought to you by Rootfire, a platform for reggae music worldwide with a mission to empower artists and nurture the community that supports them. You're here because you love reggae music and want to be a part of that community? We're here to help you connect the dots.
This show is produced and edited by James Pasqua. Our theme music is an original composition called Keep Dubbin' by James Pasqua and Mark Raimondi. If you want to hear previous episodes containing full songs, you can find them all on Spotify. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at A Conversation in Dub. And if you have any feedback, requests, or just want to talk about music, reach out there or email us at aconversationindub@gmail.com. Make sure to rate us on your podcast platform of choice. And as always, keep dubbing.